like you're independent.
Mm-hmm.
I have gained far more wealth by being a franchise owner
Mm-hmm.
versus an entrepreneur. I'm not so good as an entrepreneur in monetizing that. I'm better as a franchisee. But you were talking about that just a week or so ago as a
Yeah.
solopreneur who's hitting
Mm-hmm.
financial goals that were just a goal before, and now you're actually getting there.
Right. And
You're
it's
achieving
it's
it.
amazing. Right. It's amazing. When I was young in my 20s, I've always wanted to be a business owner, but the time it took to be successful in business, I would always just reject. Like 10 years of my life? No, I wasn't thinking about the journey and the rewards that came along with that. So I had that mindset. And then when I finally jumped into business, um, there was kind of like this sexiness of saying that you're a business owner, an entrepreneur. You're saying it, but you're not doing the work. I went through that phase and I was just like broke. But I managed to get myself to a conference. It was a Brandon Bouchard conference, and that was a very pivotal point for me, because he mentioned how you have to, in order to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to take complete ownership of your whole life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the past, the current, the future. Everything, you have to own it in order to move forward. And I feel like that was the moment that I truly put like my big girl pants on and say, if this is going to work, then I have to work it. I have to work. I have to settle down and do what it takes. And ever since then, it's been, my business has been growing as I grow in my mindset and grow in my discipline and things of that nature. My business is growing, and within this last year, I think I've like 10x my business. And it's been a great feeling. It's funny because it's like, oh, I hit this goal. What does it mean? I haven't changed. I haven't turned into a pumpkin or a Cinderella, or I'm not like popping bottles of Cristal and Fermi. It's not that, right? So all those things that I associated with hitting this goal, it wasn't that. But it is a sense of freedom, and it's very empowering because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what's the next goal? How do I get there? What does that look like? And the people who I looked up to and thought, well, how can I be like them? I'm really not that far away from that, right? So yeah,
And
it's
that's
pretty
why,
cool.
again, why I think these podcasts, whether you're being interviewed or I'm being interviewed, it's so interesting to talk to other people who are business owners, who
Hmm.
are entrepreneurs, who are self-employed and monetizing it.
Right.
One of the first milestones is I am now monetizing at a rate that we all have a dollar sign inside of our forehead, what our time
Hmm.
is worth.
Hmm.
Wow, I hit that. One of the interesting women that you and I both know, Doris Birch,
Hmm.
talk about being fabulous.
Yes.
Going from, okay, I'm hitting goals, and you and I talked a couple of weeks ago how it feels a little anticlimactic when you hit it and you don't have the right people to share that with, or they don't,
Hmm.
the people closest to you can't really appreciate with you
Hmm.
how glorious this accomplishment is.
Hmm.
Then to be able to take the next couple of steps in and leaning into your business and say, I own it. It's me.
Hmm.
I am fabulous.
Hmm.
And to have that confidence to say, I have knocked down these goals, or I've achieved these goals, I've knocked down these walls. Look how fabulous it is.
Hmm.
Every day isn't fabulous. But if you tell yourself how much luckier you are to be
Right.
here than at the
Yes.
mercy of a boss,
Hmm.
running in the rat race, running through that rat maze to get to the office. Where's the water cooler? Where's the
Hmm.
bathroom? When's my
Hmm.
paycheck coming?
Hmm.
It's all you, and it's fabulous.
Exactly. Exactly. And it just feels like I said, and it's like what is that old TV show, Xena? Was it Xena the Princess Warrior?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I just feel like I can make my own money. I don't need a boss to tell me my worth. And what talents I can monetize,
Yeah.
I can do it myself and make as much money as I want. Right. So it's almost like I know how to go out and hunt and kill my food, right? Like I
Yeah.
know how to do that.
It's
And
so empowering.
it is empowering, and there's certainty in my abilities to do that for myself and my family, regardless of what the economic outlook is. I'll be able to figure that out. And so even though the job market may not be certain, the economy may be uncertain, I'm very certain in my abilities to take care of my family. And that is just, that's where my confidence comes from now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that it is empowering.
It's the best thing ever,
Hmm.
owning your future. And I think you and I both agree that around March 13th, when the shutdown was being broadcast much more prominently, I think we knew
Hmm.
that by that next Monday, depending on what state you're in, there was going to be a shutdown. People were running with hair on fire,
Hmm.
just absolutely full of fear about what was going to happen next. That's a human
Hmm.
reaction. Every every one of our businesses, my husband and I, we were tap dancing quickly to try to
Hmm.
figure out, are we open, are we closed, what is this virus and how bad is it going to be and who's going to die first.
Hmm.
Well, then as we get more data points and can operate our businesses and our
Hmm.
lives based on data that's really real, not
Hmm.
not forecast,
Hmm.
can run our businesses with confidence that we are essential. You and I are offering
Hmm.
essential services, consulting services to people who really need our help.
Hmm.
And how fortunate you and I are over these last 7 months or so to be able to interact with business people and help them accomplish their dreams and monetize it. And I know for some
Yes.
people that might be a sensitive thing, like are we are we monetizing off of people during a bad situation? It's this, but people are spending money on their businesses,
Right.
and you are an essential part of my business. I'm ever so grateful that we met and have also been able to spend personal time together,
Hmm.
becoming friends and having a greater appreciation of each other as individuals. One thing you haven't talked about, a couple of things that you have done in your personal life
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
demonstrate your multidimensionality. Two of the things that really struck me as whoa, badass: welding,
Hmm.
and you tried out for roller derby.
Yeah, I talk about that on my LinkedIn summary because I think it's hilarious, and it's a fun story, and it's a story of um, just trying something out and failing miserably, but at least having that experience. But yeah, when I was in college, I was attending Marquette at the time, and I really wanted a full-time job. And the only way for me to have a full-time job and go to school full-time was to take a third shift position somewhere. And of course, if it's a third shift position, it's going to be factory work. So I had the opportunity to apply to a foundry called Signacast and got in initially as an inspector, but it was just something about welding that I thought was like creative and artistic, although the work called for me to really like fix parts or whatnot.
Yeah,
I did that for a couple of years so that I can go to school full time. And do something I felt was somewhat creative. So it's so interesting. Like I would go to work, and then after work, quickly come home, take a shower or whatnot, and then go to class from 8 in the morning to about 12, and then from 12 to like 2 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock, I would study and do my homework, and then from 3 until maybe like 10, I would sleep. So I had a very disciplined
yep,
day that was laid out, and it was just it was so interesting at that time, because I don't think I got enough sleep no matter what. I would see double all the time. And I think that was the time where I think Fight Club came out, and that was
Oh,
like my favorite movie, because as they showed you kind of like how he would see people and different things in kind of like this 3D fuzzy motion. It's like that's how I saw everyday life, like, oh, somebody that can relate to my vision right during the day. So yeah, it was a very interesting, and I still talk about that all the time, because I used to get all types of burn marks on my forearms
yeah.
because I would flip the lid like it was a like pencil, and that was a rough time. But you do things like that when you're young.
You do. And so your experience in Pete's, my husband, very similar. He put
Hmm.
himself through college,
Hmm.
University of Chicago, by
Hmm.
welding. He was working in a rail yard, train yard.
Mm.
So he's working on big equipment. And he would tell me at break time, midnight,
Hmm.
how half of the guys would go to their cars and consume alcohol, and
Hmm.
half of the guys would run a prayer group. And Pete, knew which group of guys he wanted to work with.
Hmm.
He wanted to work with the prayer group guys
Hmm.
because the other guys were coming back, from their break having drunk a pint of whatever.
Yeah, and that's dangerous. My
And you don't want to,
goodness.
yeah. So he would come home full of soot and, filthy from head to toe. But
Hmm.
um, he would grab a couple of hours sleep. He always knew when he got home and was exhausted, he'd just fall into bed, and his sheets would be dirty when he got up the
Yeah,
next morning.
it's like no. Yeah, I used to blow my nose and see soot come out all the
Yeah,
time, and
yeah.
I used to chase my nephews around the house with that.
That's pretty funny. Well, but what a great life skill.
Hmm.
And it's another one of those things that maybe you don't tap into that energy every day, but having
Hmm.
put yourself through college, working a third shift, which is hard enough work then to, like, as you said, to focus and pay
Hmm.
attention on your education, which should get you a better job. Both of those things together, you probably don't tap into it every day now as an entrepreneur, but it's that kind of fabric,
Right.
um, that as a business owner you need to tap into in times of uncertainty and say, all right, I've survived other things from the time I
Hmm.
was young. I've put my best foot forward. I've worked really hard, and I'm going to succeed, and I'm going to survive this one too.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think with your experience of, like you said, being a franchise owner and understanding how it was, you had to do a mind shift from corporate to business owner. And the things that you had to work for in order to grow your location. I think it's definitely an asset to what you're doing now as a consultant, and it's a resource for your clients as they look for answers and a soundboard in terms of what's the right decision. You've been there, and it's not an experience that every franchise consultant has to lean on. Yeah, so it's a great it's great to have that experience and be able to provide that for your clients.
And I think the First Friday group is a real testament to all of us continuing to work together.
Hmm.
But really, at the base of it all, I'm a transition maker, and I want you to land on a lily pad. I want you to land in the water. I don't want you to be eaten by sharks. I want you to endeavor into something confidently, doing a full research project, knowing that you own it, you own the freedom that comes with it, but you own the obligations that go with it every day too.
Hmm.
We're all in it together. If there were another franchise consultant that does what I do, and I don't think that there is,
Hmm.
most consultants are really more like brokers where they navigate through a business ownership decision. And then it's like, okay, we're done now. Good
Hmm.
luck. Sayonara, I got my paycheck, got my commission, and we're done. And so with me, whether you decide to go independent and start your own thing or do a franchise, you're mine forever.
Mm-hmm.
Once we start working with each other, I'm
Mm-hmm.
only as far away as a text or a phone call,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this myriad of complexity that goes into running a business every day, and
Mm-hmm.
we're all living it. So we're better together, we're stronger together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all those life experiences that if we share them, we become real people, not just success stories like a
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs. Oh, I want to be Steve Jobs. Well, you think he had a couple of knockdown, drag out situations in his own business development.
Right. Oh man, I seen his bio.
Whew.
So it's like I don't know if I want to, if I would want to be in his shoes or have that success and not have that same success in my personal life. So yeah, building a community is important, and the fact that you're so relationship based, right?
Yeah.
It's for you, it is about that relationship. For you, it is about navigating those waters and being a support and building a support system around your clients. And again, that is so fabulous. People are looking for that, especially in today's age, where again we're in a pandemic. So this whole social distancing thing,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to build a community and have the support that you need to continue to grow.
Well,
So,
and the beautiful thing, again, going back to technology and how things have pivoted during the pandemic, I was having these meetings, the First Friday meetings were always in person.
mhm.
We were getting to the point where I was going to have to either get a bigger room or expand it from an hour and a half to 2 hours so that
Yeah, it
we
was
could
huge. You're
accommodate
like what,
everybody.
40 people
And
looking for it? Yeah.
yeah, more than 125 people on the invitation, and people came when they could. And
Mhm.
so when the pandemic hit and we had to pivot into, well, how do we continue with our relationships? How do we instill trust in each other? If we're going to be doing these Zoom meetings, will it be as effective as meeting in person?
Mhm.
And I was intimidated by this whole virtual world, and how I don't know if you remember that. I needed you as a co host the first time or two
Mhm.
because technology always freaks me out. And
Mhm.
I'm not
And look at you now.
quick to adapt, but I think as everybody was reeling those first couple of months with, particularly Pete and I were reeling with our businesses and how are we going to successfully protect the people who were deemed essential,
Mhm.
and then continue to pay the people who were not deemed essential,
Mhm.
so that they would come back to work for us at some point. So those
Right.
first couple of months, I just couldn't even think about moving our group into the virtual Zoom world.
Mhm.
But then once we started to do I think the group is just as effective, if not more so, now on Zoom,
Mhm.
because we're like in the past, you and I would hang around after the meeting would wrap up, and we would go to this one, exchange a card, and go to that one,
Mhm.
and talk about a referral that had come up during the meeting. All that can be done in private chat on
Right.
Zoom in real time, and
Mhm.
people are getting behind the scenes names, addresses, whatever, email addresses,
Yeah. I
and
love that part about Zoom is the private chat.
the
That's where
private
all the
chat.
action is.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I can look around the room. We all can. You can kind of tell who's doing a private chat because you'll see someone go, kind of har, and they're on mute. So you know there's something going on.
Right.
But it's become so effective
Mhm.
that the group is getting bigger and much more expansive now. People who are not in Milwaukee, um, any placement that I've had ever
Mhm.
anywhere in the world, or really in the United States, can jump on these First Friday calls,
Right.
meetings,
Exactly. I
and
think
have that ongoing support. So
right.
you're mine forever. If anybody listening to this ends up buying a
Forever?
business, forever,
Forever.
don't forget me. You get sucked into a vortex sometimes, like happened
Yeah.
with at the beginning of the pandemic. Some of our
Mhm.
group had to close their businesses and they had no revenue for months. Other
Mhm.
people, as you know, we had people who were vouching for how the pandemic had increased their business volume 600 to 800% year over
Yeah.
year, 20,
Yeah.
30, 40% month over month.
Yeah.
And it's business that was going to continue. Some of it was
Yes.
just a short-term bump.
Mm-hmm.
But other members in our group are experiencing a huge amount of growth, and they're sharing that with the other people. And it's inspiring to those who maybe thought about giving up or taking a break, letting the COVID coma wash over their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're starting to get re-inspired and re-engaged because they see that, no, business is not dead.
It's not. It's not. And a lot of people are thriving in this climate. And it is great to see that, to help you keep kind of like a leveled head about the situation. Because if you watch the news and you listen to regular talk, it's almost like doom and gloom. But listening to other people's success stories and how they're able to pivot and all these things, it helps you see this as it can be an opportunity
Yeah,
where you can thrive. And to me, I feel Zoom is freedom, because now you're not locked location wise, right?
yeah,
You can now do business nationally or even globally, and that was something I I was already working towards before the pandemic. I think for some of us, it just accelerated this
yeah,
whole piece.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm so excited for people to listen to your podcast, for it to launch, and you have your episodes, and people to listen, because it's going to have so much value for people.
I agree, and it's this. I was asked by somebody in the First Friday group a long time ago, "What's in it for me, Meg?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this? What's in it for you? You're not charging people money.
Mm-hmm.
You get together at any time, drop of a hat. You make time for. So what's in it for you?" I said, "For you to be successful. That's what's in it
Right.
for me. I get nothing but the pure ego gratification that you came to me to help you make this decision, get into business. Now you have me as a resource going forward. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I'm a connector of people so that you can leverage other people's experience
Mm-hmm.
to grow your business and become that much more accomplished." And it's just purely fun
It
to
is.
see the smile on your face and everybody else's in the group, because that group is such a dynamic sharing resource, and we're in it together. And so we're all
Yes.
going to come out better because of it.
Yes. So if someone wanted to reach out to you after listening to this episode, or just any one of your podcast episodes, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Call me. There's nothing I like better than a Zoom where I can see you face to face, or a phone call so I can hear the tone of your voice. But really, my favorite is being together, being in person, body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, that whole personal dynamic is my favorite. So at some point when the world opens back up again and we can all be maskless and full of contact, then that will put me right back in my happy place. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Always
It
fun
was a
to
great conversation.